This episode is for the writer desperate to reconnect with her memoir. You felt meh about your memoir for months, and you've realized that you hate feeling that way about your story. You hate feeling frustrated and discouraged about this manuscript that actually means so much to you when you're honest with yourself. I walk my clients through very deep and vulnerable moments of doubt and discouragement, and without fail, when they reach a certain point, they skyrocket. So today I'm bringing you behind the curtain so that you can see when this happens and when it can happen for you too. Let's get started. You are listening to the Memoir Method podcast, the place for writers, readers, and anyone who appreciates the collective power of our stories. In this podcast, we explore the impact of memoir alongside an examination of writing techniques and strategies used in the genre. Whether you are a writer looking for inspiration and guidance or a passionate reader seeking meaningful connections through shared experiences, the Memoir Method podcast is your go-to conversation spot. I'm your host, Charlotte, editor, writer, and the heart behind Charlotte Writes. Let's get started. In my 5 years of working with memoir writers, I have noticed a consistent moment with each of them. And it's why I'm convinced they hire me, whether they are aware of that or not. I'll tell you about one of my more recent writers I wrapped up coaching with earlier this year. Almost a year ago, she booked a free 30-minute phone call with me. I always have a few of those slots open, and I'll drop the scheduling link for you in the show notes. And when we first met, she said that she wanted to finish her memoir by the end of 2025. She was clearly frustrated, and 9 times out of 10, this is the point where I meet my writers. Writing has stopped feeling fun, and it feels like this chore that you have to do. So in the spring of this year, we started our work together. I read through her draft for a baseline manuscript evaluation. I always read through everything so that I know everything that we're starting with. And then we got to work. What I'm about to share about this writer, it happens with every writer that I've worked with. And now when it happens, I smile to myself and I think that, yes, we are on the right track. Like this is happening exactly the way that it should. So she came to a call. We were probably 3 or 4 calls into our set. And she said, Charlotte, I just feel like I will never finish. I feel like I have to rewrite everything. Like you could just see the discouragement and you could hear it in her voice. I can't specifically remember, but she might have put her head in her hands. And I see this every time. At first, it freaked me out as a newer editor. Now I'm like, oh yes, this is exactly what happens every time. And so I gave her next piece of homework. We always start small when you feel this way, because what is overwhelming is looking at the whole pie of your memoir instead of just a slice. And so we're going to pick one slice. And I told her to take what we'd already done and then apply it to this one chapter. She came to me overwhelmed, feeling so frustrated. So I say, okay, I promise you this is going to come together. This is what you have to do next. I did not leave her to just figure out what she had to do on her own next. I just gave her her next assignment. And the next week, her energy was entirely different. She was smiling and she told me, Charlotte, I don't know what it was, but something clicked and my writing feels fun again. Yes. This is the moment that happens with every single writer who comes into my space. Every single writer I work with privately reaches this point. Starts to feel overwhelming. And they're like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to finish? And then it turns around. Every time. That clarity, that click where your creativity turns back on and you know exactly what to revise and how to revise it. From there, her weekly revisions flew by. And whenever she hit a block, it happens to everyone, she got curious instead of discouraged, and we worked through it together. This happens every time, and it's my favorite part. It's my favorite moment of working with writers is when that overwhelm, when clarity kind of flips that overwhelm into momentum. We think that creativity needs to come first in our writing. And then when we stop feeling creative, we spin out. But the truth is that creativity is a byproduct of your inner clarity as the author. Your clarity restores your connection to your work, not the other way around. That's why writer's block happens. You're waiting to be creative, but it's not writer's block. It's a clarity block. So this creative clarity is an end game. It's the whole game. Okay? Once you understand what your story is doing, both like as a narrative and what it's doing emotionally and mentally for the reader, you start to enter that curious mindset. If something isn't working, instead of throwing up your hands and closing the laptop, you ask yourself why this isn't working. Instead of just saying, oh, this is so dumb, this isn't working, and just staying there, you say, this feels off. I wonder why. You're going to start thinking of new ways to engage with your own writing and revisions, and you allow your clarity to stay front and center as you problem solve your memoir draft. You get into solution mode, not problem mode. Clarity invites you into a whole new way of engaging in your work as a memoir writer. It's not a quick and dirty fix. It's the solution to discouragement, overwhelm, and writer's block. When you have that clear lens on your work, you create the fun and joy of writing. Yes, writing is work, but it's also creative, and creativity should be fun. Here's why I'm convinced my clients pay me. After spending 5 years now supporting memoir writers, I myself have clarity on what you actually need. You don't need an edit right now. You don't need more comments in the margins. You don't need someone to tell you that you're doing a good job. Are all those things helpful? Sometimes, but only when you have that missing piece, clarity on what your memoir is actually doing and saying. You need clarity. That is what I focus on with writers first. We dial into their clarity, and once we have that, their aha, everything is clicking in moment, their writing is fun again moment, is right around the corner. That's what you pay me for. That clarity, that reframe, that new lens that changes everything about how you write. I have developed several ways to help you discern this clarity. There's always my high-touch one-on-one coaching editing hybrid container. This is my private work where you get my eyes on your writing and direct coaching and support regularly. If that's something that you want to talk about more, go ahead and schedule a free 30-minute call through the link in the show notes. As we're heading into the holidays, I am adding a little bonus onto anyone who signs on to work with me in 2026. Any new one-on-one clients from now until the end of the year, you will get a bonus 2 calls to the package. So that's 2 extra hours with me, 2 extra rounds of revisions. So if that's something you're interested in, hop into the show notes, book a free 30-minute call, and we'll talk about whether that's a good fit for you. I also have my Memoir Method program, which is moving into a cohort style of education and workshop in 2026. If you want to be the first to join me in that new setup, which includes weekly coaching and homework that I personally review, then I will link to that in the show notes as well. For writers who enroll in the Memoir Method to join me in January, the first 5 writers will receive a free intensive with me. So that's kind of a fun holiday bonus for you. So all those links are in the show notes. If you are just ready to jump into that clarity right now, you can still register for the Chapter 1 Jumpstart Challenge. We just wrapped up the challenge today. So if you want to slide in, you can binge the challenge videos over the weekend and really refine one chapter of your memoir with this dialed in clarity. The link to that will also be in the show notes. Okay. Lastly, I have homework for you, just like I give my clients. I want you to identify when was the last time that writing felt like fun for you. And then I want you to ask yourself what changed. If it's not fun for you anymore, why? Extra credit, you can skim through your manuscript and find one paragraph that you love and read it out loud back to yourself. I want you to remind yourself that you can do this and that you're actually really good at it. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I love the work that I do. I love supporting you and helping you find the clarity on what you are supposed to be writing, on what you are supposed to be saying to your reader. It's my favorite part of this job. I love it. And I am convinced that that is why writers come into my space. That's what they get. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. You've just listened to an episode of the Memoir Method podcast. The Memoir Method podcast is presented by Charlotte Writes. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support the show is to subscribe through your preferred podcast player. And if you're feeling especially inspired, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review really does help other readers and writers like yourself find the show. If you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on my website at charlottewrites.co or on Instagram at charlottejane_writes
Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And remember that you have a story that matters.